Planning a renovation on an apartment is very different from planning a renovation on a home. There's a lot of things to think about before the design actually starts. So understanding the body corp regulations, speaking with the building manager, understanding if you need to get a hydraulic engineer or a structural engineer and or a heritage council if you're working in one of these old places in Brisbane and or anywhere around Australia. So understanding those requirements up front definitely helps plan the design for the renovation in an apartment. Every apartment and or complex typically has their own renovation guidelines. So that outlines start and finish times each day, Monday to Friday, and or if you can work on a Saturday. It also outlines if there's really noisy parts of the renovation, whether that would be jackhammering up tiles, tile cutting, or typically the louder part of the trade work would have to be working through certain time frames during the day. And it also talks about padding and protecting the lifts. It talks about making sure all the common areas are really kept clean, because you got to keep all the other tenants in mind, and you got to be able to do this renovation in this apartment, and anyone outside those common areas to not know that you're leaving dust and everything around. During the design process and planning out, whether it's kitchens, bathrooms, structural mezzanines, new flooring, if we're resheeting the spaces, understanding the access in terms of getting product into that apartment. So how big's the lift, how big's the stairwell access, where do we need to be parking to getting these products in? Do we need council permits to take up certain street parking, to get cranes and bits and pieces in? So again, there's a lot of planning and understanding what you can do at the beginning of the project that's going to make the renovation work really well. It's another good way to understand where the bins can be placed. A lot of apartments you can't get the big skip bins in, so you need to think about, do we need to get trailers in or more of these low level bins that are on casters to get into these places? Where are the tradies going to park? If the client's got 2 or 3 or 1 car park, making sure that we can grab those car parks during the renovation. So it can be a real pain in the ass for the guys if they have to park a block away with all their tools and just be going backwards and forwards. So again, it's just that little bit of planning up front, understanding what you can and can't do will make that renovation a whole lot smoother for the client, for your trades, and for the general build. Yes, a part of the renovation guidelines, in every guideline that we've dealt with apartments, there's an acoustic guideline. So if a client was to pull up tiles or pull up carpet and wanted to replace with timber and or a harder product, we have to make sure that we adhere to a sort of decibel rating for that transfer down to the next apartment or the above apartment. So some guidelines will be only a like for like. So if it's got carpet everywhere and they're a like for like swap out, then you really don't have an option to change that product out. But if there was tiles and or timber, we're replacing it with another hard finished product, we would be supplying a Regipole underlay, which is an acoustic underlay. There are also acoustic glues that you would use to help that acoustic property. But then to make sure that we're adhering, we'll get tap tests done from an acoustic engineer to make sure that everything is above board and Body Corp has approved it.